up, Woodward. We are starting off your day with a brand new crew. Meet Broder.
I can't control my arms sometimes. My limbs are just kind of flying.
Detroit Kool-Aid.
Fired up!
Y'all got Kool-Aid.
I'm fired up! But with the Wake Up Woodward crew, he's actually a part of the family.
Flannel Sam.
Ask me about my wiener. Okay.
Along with JB and KG. Wake Up Woodward gets you all of your Detroit sports talk. Every morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Live on Woodward Sports. A show for Detroit, by Detroit, with people from Detroit. Tell Siri to set an alarm. Because it's time to Wake Up Woodward.
Hey, what up, though, people? It is Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys for kicking off the day with the WUW Crew. It is the last show before the Lions game.
Hey.
Sunday night, prime time, 8:25 against the Texans. And I'm excited, man. I'm pumped up.
I am absolutely thrilled. Waiting all day for Sunday night. That will actually come to fruition this Sunday.
For real.
It's going to be a heck of a game, but I love that we can spend almost this entire show just breaking it down because there are a lot of fun storylines that we can focus on and we can maybe watch for when we are watching the game.
Yep, definitely. It's your boy Brendan, a.k.a. Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Flannel Sam, the vet of the squad, the vet of the network. All sports knower, Red Wings correspondent, and... Hey, you had a day yesterday, huh?
I
Motor
did.
City Cruise Media Day.
Oh, yeah.
We have boots on the ground. Flannel Sam was in the building. It's cool to see him on this journey as well, man.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was really impressed with the coach, the GM, and Dennis Jenkins. He was somebody that I absolutely loved his answers to everything, and he just seems to have a great personality, and he definitely has that mentality of somebody who is undrafted and just wants to prove every single person wrong and have himself an NBA career. So don't be surprised if he makes an appearance with the Pistons this season.
Yeah, and I just sent JB some pictures, so at some point in time we'll definitely throw some stuff up. Like I said, man, I'm proud of the squad. I'm proud of the team, and definitely the strides that we're making to try and bring you guys the best coverage possible, you know. So I know that this is going to help Flannel in the long run with his Red Wings coverage, as well as the relationships that we're able to continue with the Detroit Pistons. I appreciate everything that they've been for us to this point as well in our relationship with them.
Absolutely. And you know another player that I was really impressed with? Cole Swider.
He's going to be an NBA, bro.
Yes, he is.
He's not going to be
and
the
he's
crew soon.
he's had a cup of coffee. He played a couple of games with the Lakers and a couple of games with the Heat, I believe. But this year, I predict he's going to at least get a couple of games in the NBA. The man knows ball, and the man, I think, is self-aware of what he needs to do to make the NBA. Every answer he was giving, he's just it's like he's breaking down his own film from memory. The guy just seems like a basketball savant, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was, like I said, it's an awesome experience. We were down at the Henry Ford Pistons Performance Center. Yes. It was an awesome experience. There we go. Hey, and you guys see that? Hey, listen, it was the WUW Crew and the WUW Crew extended family.
Absolutely.
Summer Weathers, who will be making reoccurring appearances here, was there representing the Oakland Post, as well as I know she does some work with Tunnel Vision. Shout out to T Grizzly. And then Coty Davis, Detroit News beat reporter for the Pistons. But guess what? Did you know that he was also a credentialed Houston Texans and Houston Rockets reporter before moving here to Detroit? And guess what? We got him joining the show today.
We got him joining the show because he is uniquely familiar with the Texans. He's going to answer all of the questions that I have. That is Jamel McMillan, the Motor City Cruise head coach. I loved listening to him too.
Was I lying when I tell y'all? Like we've played some clips and interviews, but was
Dennis
I lying when I
Jenkins.
told you, Flannel, he is an absolute basketball mind?
Oh, he's going to be an NBA head coach. There's my school picture right there. I love that. Thank you, Kool-Aid. But
I love it.
Jamel McMillan, the son of Nate, for those who don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, son of Nate McMillan.
Yep,
played college basketball at Arizona State and is just along his journey to become an NBA head coach, and he will. He 100% will.
Yep, definitely, man. Oh, man, I'm happy with Woodward Sports right now. I'm happy with the crew. Everybody's leveling up. Let's introduce the crew, and we got a lot of Detroit Lions to talk about. We're going to get Coty Davis in here as well, because I cannot wait. He's already, it's like, yo, I don't know if I should play the villain role or not, because this guy, he was a Texans guy, man. So we're going to talk about it with him in the 8:30 segment. Shout out to, hey, what up, though, Chase? Chase GPT in the building. Yeah, caught you off guard. Nuh-uh.
No.
Got
There
you.
we go.
Got
There we
you.
go.
I am changed. Let's have some fun, yeah.
Oh, man. Woodward Sports MVP in the tennis booth, man. It's a Friday show. Woodward Sports MVP, that is JB Smooth. What up, though?
Man, it's a Friday show, but I'm going to need Michigan to figure out what weather it wants to be, because earlier this week it's warm. Now it's chilly as all ever. I'm in a hoodie. This is ridiculous. I don't know what's going on, but last night, did anyone catch the game? That Sunday night football game?
Oh, that Thursday night football
Thursday
game?
night football
Thursday
game.
night.
Apologies.
Oh, yeah. It was one of the best Thursday night football games ever, honestly.
I think I see. There's a super chat in here about one of those quarterbacks. Oh, Dante 151,
no.
$9.99 super chat. Hey, Kool-Aid, I guess you're happy right now. What do you mean right now? Am I smiling or something? He says, with having Joe Cool Burrow right now, because holy smokes, he darn near put up 60 fantasy points against the Ravens. Also, let's go Pistons. Let's get that dub. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to you, Joe Burrow. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I do have him on my fantasy team.
Ah, man. Speaking of Joe Burrow, that man is in hell this season. I feel bad for
Oh,
him
my God.
because they took the L when they missed the 2-point conversion that would have given them the lead. But I've got some numbers on Joe Burrow because I'm one of those sickos that if you want to ingratiate yourself to me, be a hard luck quarterback, because I will always defend you when losses get blamed on you. And I'm going to do that with Joe Burrow this season. Did you know that Joe Burrow has had a quarterback rating of 100+ in a game in which the Bengals lost 4 times this year? 4 losses in which he's put up a quarterback rating of over 100. And in those games, 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, and the Bengals are averaging 33 points per game. In reality, Joe Burrow should be either at the top or near the top of the MVP rankings, but instead he's the quarterback of a 4-6 team because his team around him is just letting him down. And it's not even just Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase leads the NFL in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, and Trey Hendrickson leads the NFL in sacks. Their star power is there. They are showing up, but he's just been let down time and time again, and I feel bad for him.
Flannel, I'm actually glad you brought up Trey Hendricks as well, too, because I seen clips of him last night. He was just getting put in a blender by the Ravens defense, Ronnie Stanley. Like, I thought this dude was supposed to be elite, and he's supposed to get to Lamar Jackson, but dude is just getting spun around every single play, and I was just like, well,
no,
maybe I'm glad the Lions didn't pick up this man.
Okay. That's a little bit aggressive. Both things can be true. Did Trey Hendrickson have his best game last night? No. Does he lead the NFL in sacks? Yes.
Ronnie
Yes.
Stanley also was a first-round draft pick, first offensive tackle taken off the board in his draft class. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I don't know if the chat can hear me. I know they were saying that they couldn't, but let us know, guys.
We'll see. If they can't, I'll definitely at the break, I'll check out their board. And
Say something again, Chase.
That was the famous Laramie Tunsil draft. Where he fell and Ronnie Stanley ended up rising due to the whole gas mask incident.
Hey, speaking of Ronnie Stanley, we're going to be getting a heavy not Ronnie Stanley. Speaking of Laramie Tunsil, the Lions are going to be getting a heavy dose of him this weekend because he is the starting tackle for the Texans and their best offensive lineman. But also, Joe Burrow, I had to just make absolutely sure that people know the situation that he's been in and the incredible play that he's been on, and it's in no way, shape, or form his fault that the Bengals keep losing these games. But we also have to talk about Lamar Jackson. What a season that this man is having. 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, had 4 more last night, no picks, along with 538 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And unlike previous years, the Baltimore Ravens defense is not good. They're bottom 10 in the NFL in points allowed per game, and they are dead last in passing yards allowed per game, and Joe Burrow exploited that last night. But Lamar Jackson has just been as steady as they come, and he already has as many touchdown passes this season than he did all of last season when he won the MVP. It's just another case that if the Ravens had one loss, two losses, or were undefeated, you'd probably be looking at Lamar Jackson as the front runner for MVP, and some people still have him at that. The bottom line is that was one of the best NFL quarterback duels I've ever seen, and it's a shame that either of those teams had to go home with a loss last night, or that Joe Burrow is getting any blame whatsoever. But he shouldn't. But I'm sure Chris Canty will find a way to do so.
No, I wouldn't give him that much of blame, too. He did everything he could to keep this team in the running, especially in that fourth quarter as well, too, when time is just ticking away constantly. He's just trying to find Jamar Chase wherever he is out there on the field. And I got to give it to him, man. 428 yards, like, that is impressive on just a night. Hell, Lamar had damn near 300. Like, this was an amazing quarterback duel from two teams, but terrible defense. And it's sad to see Kyle Hamilton actually get, walked off to the locker room as well, too, because he got hurt. I mean, speaking of players who have cost Lamar Jackson a win, Chase, we were watching it at Hayes Social. Kyle Hamilton, it was in the game against Cleveland, had what should have been the game-losing interception thrown right to him, and he just dropped it. And then, of course, Jameis Winston ended up throwing the game-winning touchdown. But, at this point, even though the Ravens have 3 losses, they're either 6-3 or a 7-3, I'd still say that Lamar Jackson in some ways has been a bit of a hard luck quarterback this year, because they're not even technically leading their division. Actually, they're not leading their division right now. And Joe Burrow this season is the dictionary definition of a hard luck quarterback. He's played well enough for the Bengals to have, I would say, 2 losses, but they have 6. 4 phenomenal performances in which the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. So it was a fun game to watch last night. I just want to give my love and my shout out to Joe Burrow, because I haven't always been the biggest fan. I've thought at times he was a little bit overrated and overhyped, but in just another way, I am a changed man. Turning over a new leaf. Joe Burrow is elite, and I actually defended him before the season when people were dogging his injuries. So shout out Joe Burrow, shout out Lamar Jackson. It was a fun game to watch when usually Thursday night football games are not so fun.
Yep, definitely. And I think, Chase, the people said that they can hear you through the regular mic as well.
Cool, yeah.
Big Dan Davis, he says, at Woodward Sports, will you guys be at the watch party at Hayes Socials? I'm going to come hang out with you guys. Yes, we will be there. We will. And you know who else is going to be there, right? Coty Davis is going to be there as well from Detroit News. So we're going to talk to in our 8:30 hour. Yeah, he's going to come hang out with the crew. He's like, yo, I've seen you guys. Looks like a fun environment. Keep trying to tell the people, and we'll make sure. Listen, you guys let us know personally, like what Big Dan Davis is doing. Come over, say what up, introduce yourself. Make sure you get a chicken tender. Make sure you get some wings. Hey, listen, we're going to try and make sure we look out for the people who definitely look out for us. Definitely. So, you know what? Let's get into this next segment, because I want to be able to talk the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yes.
Versus the Houston Texans. Let's rock, man. But first, let me tell you about where you guys can watch and have the best time watching the Detroit Lions home games. The pregame show, though. You know, where we want the people to go, get a little toasty, meet Chase GPT, because you're always down there.
Yeah, I'm always at the watch parties, too.
And where is it at, man? Tell the people exactly where it's at.
It's at second best bar. 42 Watson Street.
It's Detroit's very own. We want you guys to show up for the ultimate fan experience. You can enjoy some smooth Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey while watching that Woodward Sports pregame show. Only at second best bar. Come get some.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
It's the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame watch party. Every Lions home game live from Second Best Bar, Detroit. Enjoy the pregame hype with a live broadcast every week with Woodward Sports personalities like Neil Rule, Sean Belegian, and the Heavyweights. Brought to you in part by Sabbath Coffee and Les Stanford Automotive. Great drinks like Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, Tangerine Space Machine, Taller Long Drink, great environment, and even better food. It's the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame watch party live from Second Best Bar, Detroit. Brought to you in part by Sabbath Coffee Roasters and Les Stanford Automotive. Come get some.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC, the same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford and Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Hey, you guys already know we are driving right down the legendary Woodward Avenue where all 4 sports teams play here, man. Hey, the Pistons, the Tigers, the Red Wings, and those Detroit Lions who are traveling down to Houston to take on the Texans. We want to get into a little bit of the game here. I know we're going to have Coty Davis on to give more of the Texans preview of this thing. But we want to jump right into what matters most. The Detroit Lions defensive line against the Houston Texans struggling offensive line. And you want to know what? The Lions defensive line has found a way to make things happen even without Aiden Hutchinson there. We want to see a few more sacks there. We all recognize they need that pass rush, and guess what? Brad Holmes, Zadarius Smith, he made it happen. And now they're going to face a struggling Houston Texans offensive line. I think they got an opportunity to have a big day.
Yes, they do. And Eduardo O'Neill in the chat, please talk about the Texans interior offensive line. I would be glad to. I would. That is something that I am thrilled to talk about, and I think it could bode well for the Lions.
And I know you got some stuff prepared, but just tell me if this is what you're feeling too. Aleem McNeil, big day?
Yes, 100%.
Exactly.
So, JB, there were a couple tweets that were put out by Easy from the Heavyweights that I think are really profound and paint a great picture. So, JB, you got either one. We can start with either one first.
Let's do Aleem. How about that?
Absolutely. The interior of the Texans offensive line has allowed a combined 20.5 sacks this season, the most in the NFL. And this was an Easy tweet. Since week 4, Lions defensive tackle Aleem McNeil has 24 quarterback pressures. That's tied for 8th in the NFL and tied for 1st among defensive tackles.
Hashtag one pride.
Absolutely. Hashtag one pride. Thank you for finishing that. But yeah, if that doesn't show you that Aleem McNeil is primed for a big day, then I don't know what will. Because Aleem McNeil, quiet as kept lately, he's been pretty good. He's just been asked to do a little bit too much. He's been wreaking some havoc on the interior of the defensive line. But this week, since they're facing a very poor Texans interior, and you have Josh Paschal back, and hopefully Zadarius Smith making his Lions debut, look for a big day from Aleem McNeil, especially since he's part of a very good interior of a defensive line. And also to further highlight the Texans offensive line as a whole, not just the interior. The interior is obviously their weak point, and Laramie Tunsil's a damn good tackle. But as a whole, the Texans are the third most sacked team in the NFL. They have been sacked 31 times as a team. And C.J. Stroud himself has been sacked 30 times in 9 games, which is 3.3 per game, where last season he was sacked 38 times in 15 games, which is 2.5 per game. And when you look at the Texans' interior of their offensive line, the worst guy is Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green is the worst-rated PFF guard in the NFL. The worst, the absolute worst in terms of qualified guys. And he's also allowed 5 sacks, but he actually won't be playing this week. He actually suffered a shoulder injury. He might be out for the season. I think for the Texans, you could say that that's addition by subtraction. However, the guy that replaced him last week, Kendrick Green, he sucks too. So, and I'm not just saying that. I wouldn't just say shit like that. I'm saying it because I watched and I look at the numbers as well. So this interior of the Texans offensive line could be in for a long day. And there is one more tweet that could also bode, which gives a stat that could also bode well for the Detroit Lions. The Texans have allowed the 4th highest pressure rate against the blitz this season, 54%, while taking the 2nd most sacks, 15. The Lions have increased their blitz rate from 31.6% to 38.9% since they've lost Aiden Hutchinson, #OnePride. And I love this because I think the Lions will be able to get more pressure from just the front 4 than they have in the previous 3 games by way of reinforcements and the Texans offensive line. But if they blitz, if they decide that it's advantageous to send like an Alex Anzalone or a Jack Campbell or even a Brian Branch, the Texans have proved that they do not handle blitzes well. They don't handle 4-man front pressures well. They don't handle like 3-4 defense pressures well, and they certainly don't handle blitz pressures well. So I would look for, the Lions have only had 1 sack in the last 2 games combined. I'm calling for 3 or 4 and at least 1 from Aleem McNeil. I think the defensive line has a big day.
That was going to be my question, honestly, to the crew, is just overall from the defense, who do you see getting those sacks? For some reason, I do believe that we're going to find that we're going to get 1 from our secondary. I just do. I feel like Aaron Glenn is going to. You're playing the Houston Texans, who are. They understand the type of defense that they're going to play up against, and I do believe that you got to scheme certain things up. You know that you have to score points if you're going to play the Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
that's just it. And so I expect Aaron Glenn is going to have to get a little funky in this game. We talk about the evolution that we see Ben Johnson has made to mastermind. You believe Aaron Glenn has already taken that leap.
Yes,
and I think that we see a little bit more of that in this game, and that one of those safeties does get a sack.
We'll see. And yes, both of those tweets were from Easy from the Woodward Heavyweights. I credited him on the first one. If I didn't on the second one, my fault. And yes, as Easy said, that guy's a great follow. He's in the chat. Yes, you are, man. And those are some great stats that I think paint a picture for how this game will go.
Agree with that.
Shout out Easy.
Shout out Easy. And you said that you expect a sack from the secondary.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Blitz, safety, playing the
the only reason I question whether or not that's going to happen is, what if they don't have to? I mean, maybe they will just because they have something schemed up to where they think they can get home. But when you blitz a secondary member, you do leave your secondary more vulnerable, which may or may not be a problem. Certainly, Ife Melifonwu, when he got home 3 times last year, it wasn't a problem. But I think Aleem McNeil has a big day. I wouldn't be surprised if Levi Onwuzurike gets in the sack. Gets another sack in his stat sheet. And DJ Reader, I mean, he's been very steady this year, but he's kind of been quiet, which is basically what DJ Reader does. He doesn't put up a lot of counting stats, but he anchors everything in the middle, and I look for a big day from him as well. And whoever, if you're Aleem McNeil, if you're Levi Onwuzurike, if you're DJ Reader, if you see Kendrick Green across the line from you, murder him. Barbecue effing chicken.
Well, just to give Kool-Aid's thought like some more love, because I do like that idea of possibly a secondary member getting a sack. What about those 3 guys that you mentioned, Levi, DJ Reader, and Aleem, getting the pressure up the middle? CJ Stroud, not only does he take a lot of sacks, but he also loses a lot of yards on those sacks. So maybe he's scrambling in the backfield. Maybe one of our secondary guys who's covering somebody in the flat, or like a tight end.
Corner blitz, or
they decide
delay.
to make that decision, put the pressure on him. They're able to eat up a sack, get him for a loss of like 6 or 7 in the backfield on what is like almost like a broken play type situation. Because Like, we might bring the pressure. He might bounce outside, and that's when you see guys like on the edge or at the second level cleaning up those sacks because the pressure is forcing him outside the pocket.
That's fair.
So all I had to do was ask Chase GPT.
No, that's fair. It could be a secondary member. It could be Alex Anzalone, or it could be Zadarius Smith. But I like that because when you watch C.J. Stroud play, that scenario has played itself out many a time this year because he's had to roll out. He's had to escape the pocket because his offensive line can't block anybody for the most part. His interior of his offensive line can't block anybody for the most part. And I think that is one of the reasons why he takes so many sacks for like -7, -8, -10 instead of like -3 or 4, because that scenario where he has to roll out, where he has got nobody to go to, and an end or a linebacker or a corner or a safety gets him, I could see that too as well. So the more you guys talk, the more you're convincing me that maybe a secondary member does get a sack.
I think it's Aaron Glenn Day.
I
do.
I think we could
feel like that.
I think it could be anybody from the linebackers or the secondary. I think we could see somebody on those second levels eat up a sack.
What up, JB?
I was going to say, that's what I like more. A sack coming from on the linebacker position, whether it's Jack Campbell or Alex Anzalone. Secondary, I don't want to, like, move them out from their spacing a little bit too much, but that's linebacker. Like, I could definitely see, like, a Jack Campbell just rushing in and getting one. I know the line is definitely going to...
I'm making a Nilgasm face
right now.
Oh,
stop.
Talk about them linebackers.
Stop it. But I definitely think the line's going to eat as well, too. Aleem McNeil will eat. I think Zadarius Smith wants to implement himself in this offense or in this defense as well, too, with his first game out there. And, hell, you might even see James Houston pop back up somehow, some way. But count on at least someone from that linebacker position getting in there and sacking C.J. Stroud for at least a 5-yard loss.
Yeah. You know what? The one thing I know, and I want to get the feeling of the chat family as well, I want to know how you guys feel about this week, the defense. You know, I see Randall Smalls. He says he may take off running too, but I know largely in this room we believe that Aaron Glenn is going to have that scheme. He's had the answers. He really has had the answers all season. And I do believe that he's going to have the answers for this game as well.
C.J. Stroud's no Vanilla Vic either.
I was going to say, like Chase, I'm so glad that you brought that up because C.J. Stroud, he can run. He can avoid sacks, and he can, you know, he's smart in the pocket and all of that. But I'm just going to say this. If C.J. Stroud were white, nobody would talk about his mobility. I'm just saying. Because he's mobile enough, but he's not really going to murder you with his legs. I mean, he can a time or two, but look at his rushing numbers. They're really nothing to... He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Kyler Murray. He's not Jaden Daniels. Hell, he's not even Daniel Jones, speaking of Vanilla Vic, as a threat scrambling. I hate to bring that up, but it's true.
Bring it up. But that's why I do believe this is one of those games where England is like, you know what? I think this is one of those times where Stroud is going to get happy feet. I can catch him slipping if I get a cornerback blitz like right away or some type of delay. You know, you start to play, he's dropping back, looking one way. You know he's going to roll. You're going to force the pressure to roll him to the left, and then bam, cornerback, safety, or one of them linebackers are right there to fold you away. I just feel that, man. I'm hoping that we see something like that. I do believe that Aaron Glenn is going to have a big day. But I do want to make sure that we get some of the perspective of somebody from the other side of the battle line. That
we got Adele coming to the studio.
One Mr. Coty Davis, man. He is on the line. I see you, Brian Roof. Brian Branch is going to be out for blood after that ejection.
Definitely.
You know what? Maybe he gets a sack.
Maybe. Yeah.
I love that maniacal laugh there too, man.
Absolutely. Hey, yeah.
Hey, let's get into this next segment. I'm excited to have Coty on with us this morning. And you know what, Lions, I don't know. We used to come into these types of games, and I used to wonder and used to be nervous. There was a day I used to sit next to Flannel right over there when the watch parties were in the studio. And we were like, man, we were nervous. And now this year, it's like we're approaching these games, and I feel just as confident as Dan Campbell day one press conference. That's just what I feel like. Whatever he's done to infect this team, it is definitely, as much as our team say that they pull from the spirit of Detroit, Dan Campbell, man, and whatever aspect of grit he's brought here, we are definitely pulling from that as well.
Absolutely. Can't wait to hear from Coty.
That's right. Where we got to go next, Mr. JB Smooth?
But I got to tell you guys about New Holland Brewing Company and that Tangerine Space Machine. We had a couple of these at Hayes Social on Sunday for that watch party, and come through and watch us drink a couple more of these again. The easy drinking IPA that is out of this world. Smooth, juicy, with refreshing crushability. Take your taste buds to the moon. Grab yourself a can of this intergalactic haze of goodness. And I don't know if you guys know this for sure, but this is the official beer of outer space. They know about this on the moon, so you should know about it as well too. Brewed by New Holland Brewing Company, straight out of Holland, Michigan, so you can support locally as well too. Go and grab yourself a case today.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
Hey, it's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential. There are 50+ Metro Detroit locations, and it is fitness that fits your budget because they've got $15 memberships, and you can upgrade to the Black Card as well if you would like. But if you're on a budget, whether you want to get in shape just in general for the holidays, already preparing for Beachbody season next summer, Planet Fitness is your place to go, because you know what? All those expensive gyms, their weights aren't any different than Planet Fitness, and they have some amenities that you're not even going to use. Don't lie to yourselves or lie to me. So Planet Fitness is the place to go, and it is where your fitness is essential.
2025 is my year.
Hey, you know what? Sleeveless flannel season is on the way. Because you already know next opening day for the Tigers. What were people already asking you for last opening day? Are we getting sleeveless flannel?
Hey, yes, you're going to get it from time to time, but I definitely can't be – I got to be looking as jacked as I possibly can for sleeveless flannel.
You heard that, chat family? You guys are the privileged ones. You're going to get it from Flannel Sam every now and then. Hey, but you know what? We got a very special guest on with us this morning, Mr. Coty Davis. You guys might have seen him as well. He joined the show one time before as a part of the Woodward Pistons segment, Detroit News Pistons beat writer, but also credentialed. You've covered the Houston Texans for some time. Coty Davis, welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you again. Feels like I just saw you yesterday.
Because we did.
Yeah, man. What up, though, man? What it do? You know, this is going to be the Sunday that I've been dreaming of. It's a big day for me and all my people back at home, because I want to say around 3:30 it's going to be Pistons versus Rockets. Then later on that night, there's the big game. Texans, Lions. I'm not going to lie. I wanted that to be my Super Bowl pick, but the way the Lions looking, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. We just good, and we just go to the conference finals. You know, I don't want those problems. Before we get started, Sam and Brandon, I do want to say really quick, thank you for having me on, but I do want to say this before we start. If I had a vote, Jared Goff would be MVP for me. The things that young man has been doing, you know, and I'm not just saying that. And you guys are gonna know. I don't say things just to, I don't say things just to get fans or get clicks and stuff. I don't say if I don't believe it. And I'm looking at Jared Goff. I'm looking at the Detroit Lions. First of all, I wish they could just, split the MVP and give it to several people on the Lions. But I'm looking at Jared Goff, and this is a guy that I've always kind of followed throughout his career because I've always respected him. But I'm looking at what he's doing, and I'm like, look, I've never seen Jared Goff play this good, and I'm loving what Ben Johnson has been able to pull out of him. I was impressed by what they did last year, but this year alone, man, I think it's actually unfair that he's not getting enough publicity in terms of being in that MVP race. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick.
Hey, you know what? Let's talk about it because obviously Jared Goff has been somebody that's played clean football and perfect football to a degree that we've seen this man's jersey already put into the Hall of Fame for that perfect game. From kind of the Houston Texans perspective, is how you feel? Is that how a lot of Texans fans feel approaching this game about Jared Goff and his Detroit Lions offense?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would say everyone in Houston, they respect Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions as well. This is something that last year they started to keep an eye on. Okay, something is going on with Detroit. What I would say is Texans fans and some Texans reporters as well, they're kind of looking at the Detroit Lions as somewhat of a blueprint. I was listening to Sports Radio 610, I want to say a couple days ago, and they was talking about, matter of fact, it was Monday. It was the day before the trade deadline. And they was talking about whether or not the Texans should make a home run for the trade deadline. And one of them, and I can't remember who said it, one of them was like, you know what, I don't think this is a year where Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryan should go out and hit a home run. He was like, because they remind me of the Detroit Lions about 2 years ago, where 2 years ago you started to see the Lions cooking, and it's like, okay, if they keep on this trajectory, they could be a problem in the next year or so. And of course, to you guys' credit, that's what the Lions did. They are looking at the Detroit Lions as the blueprint. Okay, we thought that this was going to be the year that we'd be at the top of the AFC or number 2 in the AFC, and several reasons went into the what I like to call somewhat of a disappointing season. But it's not the short-term plan. It's all about the long-term plan, especially given that, look, regardless of how this year has looked, especially through the injuries, this is a team that is still, look, our franchise quarterback is still young. The head of the snake in Will Anderson Jr., he's pretty young. You still have several guys on both sides of the ball that's still pretty young. This is going to be the year where we continue to build that foundation. So in the next year or so, they'll be looked at like the Detroit Lions have been looked at like this year and last year as well.
Cody, I'm so glad you mentioned a lot of the young, promising players for the Houston Texans, because I have to be fair. I spent the entire first segment dogging the Texans' interior offensive line, but I have to ask you this. What is something, because they are a 6-3 team, and I still believe they are ascending. What is something that the Texans do that could give the Lions trouble this Sunday?
Put the ball in C.J. Stroud's hand and let him go to work, plain and simple. And I said that because, look, Sam, you are 100% correct. When you talk about how disappointing this season has been, a lot of it has to do with that offensive line, especially the interior. And I know we probably get into that later on in the show. But there are moments where, look, just like how it was last year, it's the same thing this year, and I don't really understand why Bobby Slowick hasn't really let C.J. Stroud cook like he did last year. Don't understand it. Maybe it's because, he relied a little bit, in my liking, too much on the run. And I get it. Joe Mixon has probably been, if not the best player for the Houston Texans this season. And yes, he has done a really good job running the football. But at the end of the day, you still have one of, if not a top 5, for sure, top 10 quarterback in the game. And there are several moments where we sitting there thinking to ourselves, look, this team is at its best when you let C.J. Stroud just go to work. Do not put any limitations on him. Do not, try to, do some kind of like trickery play or anything like that. No, just let this young man go to work. And when you go back and you take a look at some of the best games that he had last year and some of the handful of good games that he had this year, it came when Bobby Slowick just put no limitations on CJ and just let him use his talents. And that's exactly when the Houston Texans offense is at their best. When they just let CJ Stroud do, I'm not going to say whatever he wants, but when they just let him just go out there, utilize his weapons from the wide receiving core to the running back group to the tight end group. Like, you have to realize that You do not have a quote-unquote game manager like the quarterbacks that you developed and learned under in San Francisco. No, C.J. Stroud is special. Like I mentioned, whether you want to put him top 5, top 10, the young man is definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And it seems like this year, unlike last year, he's like holding him back. But that's when the Houston Texans are at their best.
Yeah, and you know what? You said a name there as well, Joe Mixon. Obviously, the Detroit Lions' run defense over the last couple years has been known to be one of the best. Since Aiden Hutchinson went down, those numbers have they've creeped up for the opposing team. Really just some gashes, though, some big runs that are largely uncharacteristic of the Detroit Lions defense, but they got some reinforcements if Zadarius Smith is going to be playing and active and ready to go and whatnot. This Detroit Lions defense, do you believe that that Joe Mixon is going to have a day against them? Now, look, I believe that this is a day where Aaron Glenn is going to scheme up some stuff and really have some things kind of intact. If Josh Paschal is back, if you got a Zadarius Smith, it balances out the Detroit Lions defense to a degree where I know JB Smooth said it earlier in the show. You get to kind of keep those safeties in their positions rather than moving them out of place, which helps to cut down on some of those gash runs that we've seen the defense uncharacteristically give up over the last couple weeks. So I just wanted to be able to set that table because I do know Joe Mixon is not somebody that can just say, regardless of what we think about our defense, he's still somebody that deserves some attention.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say Joe Mixon to me has been a big surprise because I was still covering the Houston Texans when they, traded for him from Cincinnati. And I'm not going to lie, I really didn't know how much Joe Mixon had in the tank, especially when you look back at his career at the time. I believe this is his 7th season, and I think he had like 4 out of the 7 seasons where he rushed for over 1,000 yards. And, this is a guy that you could utilize, course, in the rushing attack or as a pass catcher coming out of the backfield. All of that is good and stuff. So I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to get from him. And I'm not going to lie, as I just mentioned, on the offensive side of the ball, if he hasn't been, the best offensive weapon that the Houston Texans have had this year, he's no lower than 3. However, the Lions defense, man, look, especially after the trade that they just made, Lord have mercy. I think this is going to be one of those games where you're not going to be able to utilize the run as much, especially, and look, this is not a knock against Joe Mixon. It's more so a knock due to the deficiencies that we have seen out of this whole entire offensive line. Look, as a matter of fact, in the next couple of days, I'm going to go home, visit my wife, visit my mom, grandma, family, and friends and stuff. I feel like I should also take time and do like a live streaming recording thing and apologize to the Texans fans because going into training camp, I said, oh, man, you got Titus Howard coming back, Laramie Tunsil, you got all these people coming back. I consider this offensive line arguably top 10 in the league, and honestly, it's looking like the worst of the 5 offensive lines in the league. That's how bad this offensive line has been at times. And I just look at it from the fact, look, what I know about the Detroit Lions, so the few times that I've been around that organization, and Brandon, as you just talked about, Aaron Glenn, I've loved the few times that I had an opportunity to talk to him in a press conference, listening to him and the way he answered my questions, the few questions that I had. He is so technical with everything, and I get it. He's a former defensive back in the league. I think if I'm not wrong, but I just look at Aaron Glenn and I'm just thinking to myself, look, I understand the Detroit Lions have arguably, if not the best offensive play caller, but they also have one of the best defensive coordinators in the league in Aaron Glenn, man, and I truly do believe that he's going to have something to kind of contain the Houston Texans rushing attack for this upcoming game.
And Coty, just to let you off the hook a little bit, I thought that the Houston Texans had an intriguing offensive line too. I did. With what they, in terms of personnel, I never expected it to be this bad. But hey, it could bode well for our guys this Sunday. I wanted to ask you more about C.J. Stroud because if you didn't listen to the first segment, I'll let you know something about me. I have a bit of a I'm very sympathetic to like the hard luck quarterback, and I believe that's what CJ Stroud has been this season. You see a lot of Lions fans, not anybody in this room, a lot of my fellow Lions fans kind of puff their chests like CJ Stroud's in a sophomore slump, CJ Stroud's regressing. But you mentioned your dissatisfaction with Bobby Slowick. I can look at him not being protected adequately. I can look at Nico Collins missing 4 games, Joe Mixon missing 3, and now Stephon Diggs is out for the season. From your view of things, is it more about CJ Stroud or is it more about what's around him, not either the injury luck, offensive line deficiencies, or your perceived deficiencies of Bobby Slowick?
It's Bobby Slowick and that offensive line, man. I can't stress that enough. And, you know, and I've heard some people talk about whether or not CJ Stroud is in a sophomore slump. I would say, in my opinion, I don't think he is, but it's more so everything that's going on around him that he cannot control. I mean, Sam, you just alluded to it. I mean, first and foremost, you lose Nico Collins for over the last couple of weeks, and I don't even know if he's going to be able to come back this week. Not sure. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's still listed on the injury report. I do know they have taken him off IR. And we thought that we was going to see him in practice this week. And from all of my colleagues down in Houston, for what I've been seeing and reading, I don't even think he has practiced through these first 2 days. So, of course, as you guys know, if you don't practice today, then that's a wrap. He's not going to play on Sunday. And that's also going to hurt the Houston Texans against the Lions. But, you know, it's the injuries that he had to deal with. You know, you lose Nico Collins, and then a couple weeks later, you lose Stephon Diggs, who was finally starting to get into a groove when he went down with that ACL tear about a week or so ago. You know, so injuries is one thing. Then, like I mentioned, you look at the offensive line. I thought top 10, protect CJ, give him time. They did the complete opposite. They're not protecting CJ. They're not giving him the appropriate amount of time. And that's also leading to CJ Stroud holding on to the ball a lot longer. And the reason why he is probably missing this target and missing that target. And then you also got to take a look at the offensive coordinator and Bobby Slowick. I said this, I want to say my last game that I covered the Texans was I think week 3 or week 4. It was the loss against the Minnesota Vikings. That was the last time that I truly studied and everything. And that was a game that they lost. But I remember 2 weeks ago on Locked On Texans, shout out to my former co-host John Hickman, the game against the Chicago Bears, I said, I don't think this is going to be a good year for Bobby Slowick, because coming into the season, you know, we was looking at all of the weapons that they added. You know, we knew Nico Collins was going to be that guy with the wide receiving core. You got Tank Dell coming back. You know, you go out and you get Stephon Diggs. You got Joe Mixon. And, you know, look, the success that Bobby Slowick had with his play calling, you know, the lack of weapons that he had last year, everything looked good. So it's like, okay, there's no way in the world we're going to see Bobby Slowick take a decline in his play calling and his offensive schemes this year like we saw last year due to the success that they had. So everybody was excited. We are all humans here. And we know there are certain things in our life, no matter what it is, we always wanted something and we always, you know, prayed for, worked hard for, you know, we did anything we had to do to get it. We thought it was going to be a big opportunity, big relationship, whatever it is. But when you get it, you end up realizing, oh, this is a little bit too much for my liking, and you don't never really utilize the full potential of it. I said after that Sunday night game against the Chicago Bears, I went on Locked On Texans. You guys still gotta damn find it. And I said, I think this is a situation where Bobby Slowick might have too much talent and he really don't know how to utilize it. Because there were certain moments before everybody got hurt, I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that when you have this amount of weapons? Perfect example, Tank Dell. Everybody is still trying to figure out, why are you using Tank Dell like he's like your number 6 wide receiver on the depth chart? Like, look, I get it. I wasn't expecting him to come in and be on the verge of 1,000 yards like he was last year before he went down with that leg injury, but it was like, you literally have a guy in Tank Dell that you could utilize, whether in the short pass and long term, take the top off the defense, whatever. But you're utilizing him as just some kind of decoy or whatever the case might be. It just really doesn't make sense. And then it also goes back to this with Bobby Slowick, and I kind of mentioned this a little bit, and I'm gonna say it again. Bobby Slowick is, of course, a prodigy from the Shanahan tree. Everything that he learned in San Francisco is the same thing that we've seen in Houston. And I've been saying this since last year. Bobby Sloyd has an opportunity to take everything that he learned from Kyle Shanahan and that Shanahan tree, the Shanahan offense. We all know what that is. He has an opportunity to take it and bring it up to the next level because you have a quarterback like C.J. Stroud. Shanahan never had a quarterback like C.J. Stroud. You know, and I respect Brock Purdy. He ain't C.J. Stroud. I look at it from a standpoint, you can literally take everything that you learn, and it's going to get 10 times better because you have, once again, not a top 5, top 10 quarterback in the league, and C.J. Utilize it and just make it the Shanahan tree on steroids, so to say. So I say all that just to say, yes, C.J. Stroud does not look like the Stroud that he looked like last year. Boy, was that a fun C.J. Stroud. He had a fun season to cover. But it's everything outside of his control is part of the reason why he's sort of in this quote-unquote sophomore slump. And for those of you who don't kind of agree with that statement, you probably just think I'm making excuses for him. I will say this. The Houston Texans have a history of not putting their quarterbacks in the best position to succeed regardless of their talent. We seen it with David Carr, which, I mean, David Carr was a bust. We seen it with Matt Schaub, even though, you know, he had his moments, but, you know, Matt Schaub wasn't CJ. We even seen it with Deshaun Watson before everything just went down the drain with him and that whole weird situation he had going on. There was moments where when you had Deshaun, the offensive line wasn't looking good. You was like, man, what's going on with Deshaun? Well, he can't utilize his talents that much because, A, he got an offensive line that's not protecting him, and B, he's also in the system, an offensive play caller that's not really allowing him to flourish and utilize all of his talents. And then, look, they did it last year, don't know what happened, but now this year it's like, man, this is kind of similar to what we saw in, I think that was 2018 Deshaun Watson. It's the same thing with C.J. Stroud in 2024, and both of those quarterbacks, ironically, was in their second season.
Jeez, man. You know what? We got another segment to continue to break down Detroit Lions versus Houston Texans with Coty Davis. Brother, thank you for giving us that time. Let's pay some bills. Let's get right back into it. Shout out to Devin the dog as well. You guys see the 51 clothing, man. It is so fire, man. It is so fresh. I love it. I really do.
Yes. You got Devin the dog. I got Woodward Sports merch. What is a better duo in the world? You can't name it. You just can't. But, you know, speaking of great duos, I didn't even do that on purpose. Hey. Woodward and Maine and the pregame show. Hey. Wow, I walked into a brilliant transition. I'm not one to be braggadocious, but I kind of stumbled into that one. Of course, Woodward and Maine. You got Terry Foster. You've got Matt Broder. They have shows every day, every post Lions game, the day after, before we go on at Wake Up Woodward. And then, of course, Sunday mornings, 8 to 9 a.m., every Lions game day. It's Terry Foster, the legend, and Matt Broder, the up-and-comer, our good friend and our colleague. And if you guys watch Woo enough, you know all about what he can do. So tune into them. And then, of course, on Sundays, tune into the pre-game show with these guys, Neil Rule and Sean Belegian, with those very trustworthy-looking faces that they got going on over there. That was Ravens fans last night when the Bengals. That was more of an O face of relief. So maybe it would have been more of like a sigh.
Fantasy owners.
Better example.
There we go.
It's the New Holland Brewing Company pregame show. Every game day, Neil Rule and Sean Belegian bring you the best Lions pregame show. This Sunday, it will be from 6 to 8 on Woodward Sports, obviously, but at Hayes Social, of course, along with the watch party and the post-game show. The latest injury reports, fantasy sit and starts, and the inside scoop on your Detroit Lions. Join us for every Sunday home games. They are live at Second Best Bar in Detroit. Your official guide to Lions game day on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. Brought to you by Tangerine Space Machine, Tall your local long drink, Sabbath Coffee, Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, and Les Stanford Chevrolet.
I'm glad they didn't see me doing the Nilgasm.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in the clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports. Can't get enough Lions coverage? Make sure you catch all Woodward sports shows every game day. Wake up with Woodward and Maine, giving you the latest insight into the Lions locker room and press conferences. Then join the Lions pregame show, highlighting key matchups, injuries, and what to watch for during the game. Follow all the ups and downs of the live game action with our Woodward Watch Party live on YouTube and WoodwardSports.com. After the game, check out the instant fan and host reactions with the Lions postgame show. Every game, it's wall-to-wall, kneecap-biting, high-fiving, chest-pumping Lions coverage.
Hell yeah!
Only at Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Dealing with divorce, child custody, visitation, or other family law issues, Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law in Birmingham will have your back. With 10-plus years of experience and 24/7 availability, scan the QR code on the screen or call 248-971-0476. Say Woodward Sports sent you, and KDK will pay your filing fee. KDK Law, they've got your back.
KDK Law got your back. Wake up, Woodward Sports got yours. Chat family, I'm hoping that you guys can have our back as well, and going ahead and smash that like button for the people. Shout out to our brother Matthew Broder, man. We love you. That dude Justin and KG. Can't wait to have you guys in studio, and you guys make sure you do support Matthew Broder, Rising Star, alongside the legend Terry Foster with Woodward in Maine. Great content, better people, man. Hey, but we got to jump back into the Detroit Lions conversation, break down a little bit of what Coty Davis said, and we got to bring it back to talk about, he's still alive. We're going to talk about the defense of the Texans as well. But I wanted to be able to digest a little bit, Flannel, some of the things that Coty just talked about already with this Texans offense. And if there's anything, including from our booth, anything that you guys have heard that has changed your perspective on this game so far?
I mean, I've been a CJ Stroud defender through all of this, but Coty, since you've got more intimate knowledge, the whole Bobby Slowick angle, that's something that I hadn't really considered because I don't watch every Texans game, but that could certainly play a factor, because when an offense regresses, despite some players playing really well, like a Joe Mixon, for example, and a Nico Collins when he's healthy, and Stephon Diggs when he's healthy was coming along. Hey, you see a difference, for example, with like a Ben Johnson and a Bobby Slowick. I mean, I'm sure you wish he was the Texans. Ben Johnson was the Texans offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, and you know what, Chase, and what was supposed to MVP in the TD booth, JB Smooth. I'll start with you, JB Smooth. Anything that you've heard so far, because I know that there are some fans who believe that CJ Stroud can have a big day, and there's other fans like me who believe Aaron Glenn's going to scheme something up. You heard it from the man Coty Davis himself, who's had kind of this ground level view, being a credentialed Texans reporter. How you feeling so far?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. Once again, hey, what up? Shout out, Coty. Everyone in the chat's calling you my twin. So
yeah. Look at this.
I know we were talking about CJ Stroud, but I kind of want to move on to Houston's defense just a little bit.
Hey, let's go.
Last week, they suffered a loss to the Jets. And Will Anderson, one of their premier players, someone that I thought was going to go to the Lions back during the draft, didn't really happen, but it is what it is. But Will Anderson went out in that second half of that game, and I believe as of Wednesday's injury report, he still was not practicing along with Nico Collins. Have you heard anything of him returning to practice as of lately, or do you think this is someone that, the Lions shouldn't have to worry about when it comes to Sunday night?
I'm actually looking at the injury report right now, trying to figure out. But look, the Texans defense overall, they have been one of, if not the main reason why they are 6-3. Plain and simple. I mean, I've looked at this. Hold on, I got the injury report right here. And as of right now, of course, Wednesday and Thursday, Will Anderson Jr. was not at practice. And you guys already know the drill. If you're not practicing by Friday, you're not going to be in the game come Sunday. And look, I don't know what is going on between Will Anderson Jr. and going up to MetLife Stadium in New York. But this is the second consecutive year he went up there and came back with an ankle injury. Last year, I believe he missed, 2 games with that ankle injury. The Texans, from my knowledge, they haven't really given, how severe the ankle injury was. But I'm like, look, after this, for the rest of his career, don't go up there to New York. Fake injury or something. Just do not play at MetLife Stadium. So, of course, if Will Anderson Jr. is not going to be able to go, that's, of course, going to weaken your defensive line. Yeah, you still have Danielle Hunter, but like I just mentioned, the way you look at C.J. Stroud is basically the same way that you look at Will Anderson Jr. Will Anderson Jr. is the head of that defense, especially that D-line. And look, they're going to, I want to say, have an opportunity to still be able to contain the Lions. However, I think if Will Anderson Jr. isn't able to go, that is going to be a big loss for them in this game, because I look at the Detroit Lions and I look at the fact, look, we know what Jared Goff can do with his offensive weapons, but that offensive backfield that the Lions have with their running backs, man, Gibbs and Gibbs and David Montgomery, man, I think those two might be the best running back tandems in the game today. And it's not like most teams where you only got to create a defensive scheme for just one. No, you got to create a defensive scheme for two. And both of those guys, they provide something different to the Lions offense, to the point, if you're looking at it with Gibbs, it's like, okay, the Lions can do X, Y, and Z, but when you're looking at Montgomery, they can do A, B, and C. And it's almost like it gives the opposing team, and of course this Sunday, unfortunately, it's the Texans, it kind of gives them, it just keeps them on their heels a lot. So hopefully Will Anderson Jr. later on today, he have an opportunity to touch the field. But even if he touched the field, I mean, you guys cover the NFL and football enough. Even if he touched the field and be limited in practice on a Friday, chances are he's still not going to be able to go on Sunday night. So, not having Will Anderson is definitely going to hurt this defense. It's not going to be like, it is going to be a big loss, but it's going to have an impact. But I think with head coach DeMeco Ryans and the guys that he have, i.e. Danielle Hunter, it's still going to have an opportunity, a chance to contain the Lions at what they do best.
But what about Nico Collins, though? I'm glad you asked about Will Anderson, JB, but Nico Collins, how much could his potential absence, or presence for that matter, swing the game either in favor of the Texans or against the Texans?
Nico Collins was about to enter that conversation of being top 5 wide receiver in the league. I mean, at the time of his injury in 5 games, he was leading the league in receiving yards. I mean, he is a big threat for C.J. Stroud. I mean, you guys have seen it on countless occasions. Both of those guys connecting for 50, 60, 70 yards, touchdowns and stuff. And with Nico, man, he is just on another level in terms of when you compare him to the rest of the wide receiving core that the Houston Texans have. Especially consider, like I mentioned, he's 6'4", big body target. He could go up there and get those 50-50 balls. He could go up there and you can utilize him whether in the short passing game, the long passing game, whatever the case might be. Nico Collins just brings a different dynamic to this Houston Texans offense. And not only that, I always consider Nico the best blocking wide receiver that you could utilize in a rushing attack as well. So not only did you lose your number 1 wide receiver, you also lost somebody that you could utilize in a rushing attack, especially considering that this offensive line has not been good. Even if Nico comes back, I really don't know if he's going to have that same impact like we saw early on in the season and last year, only because everyone knows once you come back from an injury, it's going to take you a game, maybe 2 games to get back to the player that you was before. You're going to have to knock off that rust. And for Nico Collins missing the last, what I think it was like 4 weeks or whatever the case might be, he's going to have some type of rust. And then when you take a look at the Lions defense, that secondary, look, let me just go ahead and say this. I just think the Lions are good everywhere, all positions, offense, defense, special teams, head coach, coordinator. The Lions are just a really good team at this point.
Like a blueprint, man.
Exactly.
And I love it. And you know
exactly.
what? I know we're not going to have you on for the segment when we do the final score predictions, because you got to run down the shoot around. Going to run down there right after the show, try and zip over there and catch some aspect of it as well. But I do want your final score prediction for this game. And for whichever team you think is going to win, kind of those maybe top 1, 2, or 3 keys.
Oh, man, this is tough, man. But, oh, man, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and be a homer, man. I'm going to say the Houston Texans will squeeze out a very close victory. I'm going to say, man, I don't even think the Lions has been held to the score that I'm about to say all season, which is even more scary for me. But I'm gonna be a homer. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the scores right now. The Twins loss against Tampa Bay is gonna be that low, but I think that the Texans are gonna come away with a win, 24-21. And look, the Texans know. I know the Texans. This could be a statement game. I know I say it a lot in terms of why I have concerns about this team, and that's crazy to say for a team that's 6-3. I remember covering this team and it was like 1-14. It was bad at one time. But I look back at the fact that last week's loss against the New York Jets was an embarrassment. And not only was it an embarrassment, everything that we have been questioning ever since preseason, matter of fact, some of us ever since training camp, in terms of this player's development, this player's, whether or not he can stay healthy, whether or not Bobby Sloyd can give you what you need with his offensive play call, whatever the case might be. It all came to fruition in the loss last week against the New York Jets. Now you have had about 9 to 10 days to recuperate, try to get everything together. You're going to get some players that was on the injury report. You're going to get some of them back. I think that the Houston Texans are going to be motivated and just have a little bit more oomph in their step in terms of trying to squeak out a victory. And I say 24-21 only because, look, I think I say that like this. They have a very fine, the smallest margin for error against this Detroit Lions team. Because since I've been in Detroit, whether it was the games I was covering, the games that I've watched on TV, or, just looking at the highlights, man, that score is crazy. Let me see what the Detroit Lions do. It's like at any moment, they could turn it on just like this on both sides of the ball. I consider Ben Johnson the best offensive play caller in the league. And the one thing that I love about Ben Johnson, it seems like it doesn't matter if he is being a little bit conservative at the start of the game because he's trying to figure out, let me see what they like to do, what they're not going to do. Let me see how they're going to play this player or that player, to the point where it seems like he'll have something up his sleeve and it's like, boom, the nail in the coffin. You guys go up. It's basically 21 skunk at that point. I love how the way he orchestrates the game plan and stuff. And it's just like, it's those type of moments, the offensive backfield that I just finished talking about, Jared Goff, MVP. And I've said all this about the Lions, and I even mentioned the fact, St. Brown, top 10 wide receiver. Then you got Jameson Williams coming back. And I know he's coming back with revenge.
You believe that the Texans are going to stop?
I say a small. I'm gonna be a homer. I can't lie. I'm gonna be a homer, man. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice if I pick the line. Put it like this. I won't be surprised if the Lions win and extend the winning streak. But I just feel maybe this is going to be those moments where, and it's in Houston as well. And that Houston, I would say the Houston crowd is going to be crazy. But Houston crowd is known for getting that late. And I've been here long enough to see the Detroit Lions fans literally travel well. And I know what they call it, the Honolulu Blue. I know that's going to be a section. Oh, my God.
One prize about to take over. This is what we do. You will hear Jared Goff chants. I know JB Smooth, you had something before we hit the next segment.
Yeah, I just got one more question because I know, Coty, you got to get out of here, man. I know you got a busy day going on, but I'm putting you in a scenario. It's Sunday night. You're about to enjoy some Sunday night football, Texans, Lions. You look over into your closet. You got the new all-red CJ Stroud jersey, and then you also have the blueberry Jared Goff jersey. Ooh. Which one are you putting on to watch this game?
Stroud, what I show over though? Stroud, you see, I'm already running with the Texans hat right. Matter of fact, let me turn it around like that so you guys can see. Y'all lucky I ain't come on here with the actual Texan jersey. I was kind of debating that, but I was like, no, I ain't gonna wear it to shoot. I tell you one thing, after that game, after the game, Pistons versus Rockets. I'm gonna come to the watch party, and I will be decked out in some kind of Texans gear. Whether it's the hat, whether it's the shirt that says "Go" and you got JJ and Andre Johnson, it might be a custom-made Texans jersey. I don't know, but I'm gonna come and represent a team that I not only covered over the last 5 years, but a team that I kind of grew up watching when I moved to Houston in 2003, man. So that's why, look,
hey,
I understand. Look, let me say this. Let me say this. I understand how good this Detroit Lions team is. And look, I just picked the Texans just to be a homer. But like I mentioned, if I walk out of the watch party on Sunday and the score is 35-20 Lions, I'm not going to be surprised. This team, in my opinion, is the best team in the league. They definitely are on their way to New Orleans come February, I must say.
They want to see you in a Detroit Lions hat if the Lions win on Monday.
Lions hat.
We're gonna have to make something happen, bro. Look, Lions win definitely.
We'll see.
If the Texans win, we'll figure something out. Coty Davis, thank you for joining the show. Detroit News, Pistons beat writer, credentialed Texans reporter as well. You were covering the team this season up until dropping everything to come here. You even left family and everything. So I appreciate the grind that you're on. I appreciate, honestly, the chance that you're taking on Detroit as well. And I'm glad that you're enjoying your time here, man. See you shortly, too, brother. Thank you, man.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
Thank you, Coty.
Man, let's get to the next segment as well. Houston Texans, Detroit Lions. We already know what the dub is going to be. I can't be mad at the homer pick. I know Coty knows what the deal is.
That's the thing. People in the chat, some of you get off his back. We need this on our shows. We need the Texans' perspective. And it's not like he was a former Tennessee Titans reporter or anything like that. The Texans are a division leader. If he wants to pick them, I'm fine with that. I disagree. Spoiler alert, I disagree. But Coty, thank you for coming on. Thank you again. And some of you people in the chat get off his back. He was fantastic.
And if you want to say something, say it with your chest. You know what I mean? He's going to be at Hayes Social. Chat family, show up, man. It's gonna be a good time. Coty is he's just a good person overall. Glad to have him, within our circles and to see him in his career go to the next step. He's ecstatic to be here in Detroit, man. He was like, bro, Detroit sports is pulling on me, man. Like the culture is crazy. He was like, I love Houston. He was like, but this is good. So it's awesome to see him just kind of accepting Detroit. His family is moving here and such. So shout out to Coty Davis. Congratulations to him in his new position as well. It was a step up for him, and I'm glad that Detroit can play that part in his journey. So, but I'm sorry that Detroit's also going to play a part in spoiler, man, for your Houston Texans season, because that Honolulu flu, it's a heck of a thing, huh, Chase?
Yeah, that offensive line is already a little hobbled. They're a little injured. They're going to be wearing those red jerseys. The Lions smell blood in the water. And they're coming to take a big bite out of those Texans this weekend, man.
Let's go.
Hey, let's get into the next segment because Hoofhearted, one of my favorite names from the chat family, he says Texans are going to bring their A game this weekend. It's the Lions' game to lose, but if they leave the door open, the Texans win.
Lady Jane's. Let's expound more on that. But first, Lady Jane's.
You know what? Walk in any Lady Jane's haircuts for men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a $20 haircut special, a scalp massage, a hot lather neck shave.
That was a little close.
I ain't say nothing about no leather. And a hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Take advantage of our $20 haircut special by just scanning that QR code somewhere on the screen. And when you do, you get your your coupon for the haircut special today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. It's wicked awesome.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
Love Woodward sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
It's the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame watch party. Every Lions home game live from Second Best Bar, Detroit. Enjoy the pregame hype with a live broadcast every week with Woodward Sports personalities like Neil Rule, Sean Belegian, and the Heavyweights. Brought to you in part by Sabbath Coffee and Les Stanford Automotive. Great drinks like Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, Tangerine Space Machine, Taller Long Drink, great environment, and even better food. It's the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame watch party live from Second Best Bar, Detroit. Brought to you in part by Sabbath Coffee Roasters and Les Stanford Automotive. Come get some.
Fuel your Detroit sports and your Detroit Lions fandom with the perfect cup and become a subscriber of Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Whether you are gearing up for a big game or savoring a quiet morning, Sabbath Coffee Roasters has you covered with fresh, locally roasted specialty coffee delivered right to your door. So you know they're treating you right. All you got to do is head to www.sabbathcoffeeroasters.com. Choose your favorite roast and make sure that you're using code Woodward so that you can get 25% off your first subscription order. Awake and unwind. Support local and enjoy game day right with Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Hey, and we are back, man, talking about these Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans. Shout out to KG, our brother Matthew Broder, that dude Justin. I can't wait to get them back on the show, but we do got an elite booth nonetheless still. Chase GPT in the sound booth. What up, though?
Hey, what up, though? Hope you guys are having a good morning today.
Hey, and Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth. What up, though?
What up? I don't know what Coty talking about. Lions about to destroy him on Sunday.
Hey, you know what, man? Let's just satisfy that like button real quick. We're gonna see what Chase GPT got going on right now, man. Y'all gotta treat it right. This is just Chase GPT. Hey, look, bro, it's your debut. Let's rock.
All right, everybody. We're gonna take it easy. Take it slow, lay him down nice and gentle, and slowly satisfy that like button. Little circles. Go in little circles. Little side to side. Mix it up a little bit. You know how they like it.
What a debut. What a debut, man. Hey, but you know what? We got to jump back into Detroit Lions and Houston Texans. It was cool to have Coty Davis on and his perspective. And honestly, we talk so much about the Detroit Lions that it is awesome to get someone's perspective who both covered them in a professional capacity as well as has been a fan of the team and been in the area and understands what the talk is. One of the things that I took away from that conversation was he said that the Detroit Lions are a blueprint. He also, I got the sense when we were talking about it during the break that he believes in his Houston Texans, but he also understands exactly what the Detroit Lions is, and he has a very healthy respect of them. That's cool to see that type of perspective. This isn't a guy who's been here for years and inundated to the Detroit culture. This is a guy who was literally walking into the press conference rooms of games up until week 4 of this season. So his perspective on the Detroit Lions has been formed while looking at what's been happening from afar already. Yeah, it's awesome. Even Jamel McMillan talked about it from Seattle. Talked about, look, the first Hard Knocks I watched was Dan Campbell. When you align things, you realize he wasn't here yet during that time. That's what's interesting about that, is that Dan Campbell was so pragmatic in terms of what this organization is and what they represent. And we talked about other teams making the Lions a blueprint. So it was interesting to get that perspective from a guy who believes in his Texans, has expectations for them, but is looking at the Lions like, man, what a gauntlet.
Absolutely, man, what a gauntlet. And one thing that I wanted to tie that into is we talked about it with Coty Davis, but I want to give my take on it as well. It looks like it's trending towards, and don't say what I say as the gospel, I'm just going by how it usually goes when players don't practice. Neither Nico Collins nor Will Anderson practiced on Thursday. And I think that could bode very, very badly for the Texans. Actually, I think it will, because Nico Collins, and Coty Davis mentioned this, when he went down, he was leading the NFL in receiving yards. Coty Davis said that he's playing like a top 5 wide receiver. He most certainly was. And I think somebody like him could present a problem for really any secondary, but especially a secondary that has a young guy like Terrion Arnold. I think that Carlton Davis would probably match up against him, but still, Nico Collins is a problem. If he's not there, it will make the Lions' job easier, and also Will Anderson. I wanted to, one thing I think in which if Will Anderson's there, I think he could affect the game this way, because Will Anderson, I got to mention this, he's tied for fourth in the NFL in sacks and tied for first in tackles for loss. He, like Kirby Joseph, has also been making his claim, or staking his claim, for Defensive Player of the Year. But one thing about the Detroit Lions, and it's something that some of us talked about, I think people were panicking a little bit too much in the watch party about it, but it's a little bit of a concern. If you have Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter as probably the best bookend edge rushers in the NFL, you got Penei Sewell. I still think Penei Sewell will be basically a brick wall, but Taylor Decker has had some struggles lately. Taylor Decker was not good at all against Minnesota or against Tennessee, and he's allowed 6 sacks this season, which is a little higher than you would expect. So if you had both Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, one of them is going to have to go up against Taylor Decker, and I think that could be a problem. But if you don't have Will Anderson, that's just, I think it would cause Danielle Hunter to have to do too much, and they could maybe double team him. So I think the outcome of the game could hinge heavily on the Texans' potential injuries or potential absences.
Oh, man. Who is this? Oh, is this a Vikings fan in the chat?
Vikings fan? What are you doing here?
Sally the Viking, he says, if y'all think you're beating Houston, then y'all are delusional.
No.
You know what? And that's why it's interesting that he states that during a segment where you're literally saying, hey, these are some concerns that we have to make sure the Lions have shored up. Right now, to this point in the season, we see what the Detroit Lions have earned, and it is the opportunity to be viewed up as a team that's always going to come into these games as the favorite team. That's what you expect. I don't care what the betting is. I don't care, because we understand if you're in someone's home and how the lines move and all that stuff. I expect the Detroit Lions, when I look at the schedule and I look at what this team has continued to do, to go into each and every game and win, just like I expected them to do against Tampa Bay, though. And things didn't work out the way that we quite wanted to.
All good, yeah.
It is still quite 7-1, but we can't, when we do discuss this, we're going to definitely drink a lot of Kool-Aid, because the Lions give us that opportunity, but there are still some things to break down with this squad. They're not invincible. They've just found a way to realistically, though, appear like they are. And I just want them to be able to maintain that all the way through. Regardless, obviously what we discuss on the show doesn't necessarily help them on that. But at least as we break down this game and look at the what is and what isn't, we're able to, with our chat family, be able to educate you guys and back and forth with the sports conversation. And that's where I'm like, you know what, Taylor Decker, that is a concern. When you start to see trends start to pile up, it is something that you want to be able to at least keep an eye on, because the one thing we know that can derail a Detroit Lions game plan is if Jared Goff isn't playing clean football, or if Jared Goff is being sacked.
Absolutely, but I actually think if Will Anderson Jr. doesn't play, that whatever shakiness you've seen from Taylor Decker, that will end up being a moot point for this particular game, because he's just so important to that defense. Like I said, he's putting together his own Defensive Player of the Year caliber season, and if he's not there, that could certainly change things. And I also think it speaks to, especially when you include potentially Nico Collins, you've already got Stephon Diggs. Kenyon Green is addition by subtraction, so I'm not even going to count that, but I think the Texans, one of the differences between them and the Lions is the Lions, they're not going to cry sympathy for anybody when it comes to injuries. They lost Aiden freaking Hutchinson for the season.
Exactly.
And we've seen the Lions suffer other injuries, like a Marcus Davenport, like a Josh Paschal, like a Derek Barnes, just to name a few. They played a game without Kevin Zeitler as well. They seem to be more built to handle these injury losses than the Houston Texans, because the Houston Texans, them missing Stephon Diggs, them missing Nico Collins, them missing Joe Mixon, each for at least a game. I think Collins was with 4 and Mixon with 3. That has cost the Texans actual wins. That has caused them losses. The Lions are still undefeated without Aiden Hutchinson, and I think it just speaks to how they're built. And I think the biggest difference is the Lions have an offensive line that can protect Jared Goff. The Texans don't have an offensive line that can protect C.J. Stroud. It's all about how the Lions are built. They are built to handle this. The Texans are built to be a Super Bowl contender if everybody is healthy. The Lions can still be one if they are missing some guys and make some slight adjustments, like get a Zadarius Smith instead of Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, if they're just missing some guys, like 3-0 without Aiden Hutchinson. You know what? We got to knock on wood, because we talked about the only thing that could slow down the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, on their Super Bowl quest, and any team that has, playoff and Super Bowl aspirations, are injuries. And when Brad Holmes states, listen, we're not just building for cute seasons, we're building for longevity. Now when we see that this squad is exactly as you described it, able to be able to sustain, because we talked about this before Hutchinson was injured. When we were talking about the longevity of success, we were talking about the depth. We had fun with that word all off season. Now we see that it wasn't just talk. Now we understand that building for that longevity of success means, can you sustain an injury to one of your top dogs? And guess what? You want to talk about the top dog in all of the NFL on the defensive side. That's what they're sustaining right now. Then we discuss, okay, are you going to have the eye to make sure that this thing stays on the right track? We didn't believe last year. Some people doubted at the trade deadline, but clearly he had the eye set. This year, he did make a move with Zadarius Smith. And so it just continues to speak volumes to this organization being exactly what Coty Davis said. The blueprint. Exactly what with the Washington Commanders. People started to say, listen, the Lions are their blueprint. That's an amazing thing, that we are no longer trying to do it like other people, the Patriots way. It's like you got some alpha males. When you talk about, man, they brought in Dan Campbell before the GM, I understand why now. Not that he's ever going to usurp the power of the GM, but it's like that's somebody you just got to have in your organization. And we see exactly how he's affected the team. We see exactly how he's worked with management. And this thing all the way around is an example to other squads. The Lions are just, you're right, they're built for this, man.
They're built for this. Coty Davis said as much. I mentioned how the Lions are built to handle injuries like this, and the Texans are, for the record, it's rare to be able to lose your Defensive Player of the Year candidate and keep on humming. It speaks to the Lions as a whole. I don't think they're excuses for the Texans. I think they're reasons, because not every team can be the Detroit Lions with the way that they are built. Because I want to make sure we have enough time for our predictions and to do what's trending and all that, I want to quickly highlight another matchup in this game that I think is very intriguing, and it's the dictionary definition of something's got to give. You heard Coty mention how Joe Mixon has arguably been their best offensive player, maybe their best overall player. A crazy stat about Joe Mixon this season is Joe Mixon has started and finished 5 games, and he's gone over 100 yards in every single one of them. And that is behind this offensive line, which besides from Laramie Tunsil, they also don't block the run very well. And the Lions, as we know, have not allowed an 100-yard rusher to a running back this season or last season, but they have allowed a running back to get 93 weeks in a row. So that's definitely a something's got to give. So Kool-Aid, I want to ask you, who's got the edge in that matchup? Joe Mixon versus the Lions rush defense, which could be getting some reinforcements.
I want to believe that with the reinforcements, the time to game plan, that you have the opportunity to go in there and make Joe Mixon a little bit more pedestrian. But I won't be surprised if there's a couple gashes, but if they're able to play more balanced, they're able to have, those linebackers really in their space. And I love the way that JB put that. I don't really want to move, to quote you, I don't really want to move the secondary pieces around. I kind of want to have them in their space. I do look forward to what that defense looks like again with Zadarius Smith. On the edge, Josh Pascal coming back. Who knows what it will look like? I don't think that they're going to have the impact of Aiden Hutchinson, but you know what? With evolution, you don't have to worry about if you have the impact of Aiden Hutchinson. You have to worry about if you're still going out there and feasting and eating and making sure that you don't go hungry. That's what I believe that this defense is going to do. That's why I can see maybe early on, Mixon has maybe a couple big plays. You know how teams can scheme up things, can scheme up some stunts, can scheme up certain blocks and such to spring a Joe Mixon into the linebacker space and into the secondary. But after that, I do believe this defense is going to catch on and shut that down.
Yeah, I don't. If I were a betting man, I would bet that the Lions keep their streak of not allowing a 100-yard rushing game to a running back. I think the last time they did it was the Carolina game, which I know they allowed 100 to Justin Fields the next game, but it doesn't matter. They won 41-10 anyway. But the point is that this Lions rush defense with Aiden Hutchinson the last couple of years has been elite. Without him, it's been a little bit more leaky, but I think that they'll do enough. Like you said, Joe Mixon, when I went back and watched a lot of his runs this year, despite not having the best offensive line, there were times where he just ran through gaping holes, but he always knew where to find them and to hit them. But there were also some times where he would be patient. He would wait for things to develop. He would run up the middle and not like what he saw and then have the ability to cut back, break tackles, run outside.
Almost like Frogger.
Absolutely. He's done very well at making things happen. And as I've said earlier, or a couple of seconds ago, he rarely goes down on first contact. Joe Mixon is he's having the best year of his life despite already having multiple 1,000-yard seasons. So it's something to be mindful of. I also think since their rush defense has been a little worse than it was with Aiden Hutchinson, there are going to be moments where I think they give up some runs, maybe a big run, maybe just more like 2nd and 5, 7-yard runs because Joe Mixon is that good.
Like K9 type runs like we saw against Seattle.
Just make things where he just makes things happen because he's Joe Mixon and he's been elite this year. But I don't think it's going to cost them too much, but I could see Joe Mixon. It's going to be a problem, especially if Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs are out. Then without a shadow of a doubt, you're looking at Joe Mixon as somebody that you have to stop. But if you don't have to worry about guarding Nico Collins, maybe, and Stephon Diggs, certainly, you can maybe load the boxes a little bit more. So I'm just saying, Joe Mixon versus the Lions rush defense, that is going to be a hella intriguing matchup. I can't wait to look. Can't wait to watch.
I believe that the Lions are largely going to have the run contained, but Mixon is just a special running back, and that's why I'm glad the way you broke it down. It helped me even be able to better grasp the concept that I was going to drop. When you look at the Seattle game, how many times did the defense scheme it up perfectly to have him stopped? But then he made an extra effort and was able to kind of get some yards. And for a while there, it looked like this guy was going to have a field day on us. We've seen him have a field day on the Detroit Lions. And there's a couple other times this year where we've seen them have largely the quarterback or the running back, bottled up, and then they just can't seem to get them down in the backfield and they spring forward. I believe this is one of those games, though, where after a couple plays like that, because you're just trying to figure out what they're doing to try and counteract your defensive line, then I believe that they're going to be balanced. They're going to be aggressive. I believe that they're going to force one fumble at the very least. I do.
Interesting.
It's just this
like
defense.
that.
I mean,
I like that.
People talk about Amik Robertson and such polarizing effects, but it's like we knew what we were getting with Amik Robertson. You tell me that this guy hasn't forced fumbles this year?
Yeah.
It's like this team, they're more than opportunistic. They're going out there and they're taking the ball from the other squad. I don't expect any less this week either. If you're going to run Joe Mixon, I believe that with this type of a defense, you're giving us more opportunities to take the ball away from you.
Ooh, so are you calling maybe Joe Mixon 80 to 90 rushing yards plus a lost fumble? I don't hate that.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I don't hate that because, like I said, Joe Mixon, he's had himself a heck of a season. And I honestly think Joe Mixon's best attribute this season has been his vision because it's still the Texans' offensive line. It's not always gaping holes, but if there's one, he will find it, he will explode through it, and he will usually break at least one tackle. But you're calling him for a fumble.
At least
I
one.
hope so.
At least one.
At least? Is he going to have multiple fumbles? I love that.
There's multiple turnovers on the day for the Texans, I do believe.
Fair enough.
And that's where I believe that it's going to really kind of keep the Texans off kilter. So even if we believe that C.J. Stroud can go out there and have a big day, they just won't have the opportunity to because his defense is going to be opportunistic. And it's crazy we get to talk like this because it's not far-fetched. We've seen the Detroit Lions go out there and win games where they have a sack, a fumble, and an interception all in the same game. Sometimes multiple of one of those stats as well. And so I do believe that they're going to have that this week. You get it to Darius Smith. You get the opportunity to confuse the Houston Texans offense just that much more. And if you have to go to a position to where, you know what, we have to run Mixon early in the game, or if you believe towards the end of half, towards the end of the half that you're going to run them, that's where I believe that the Lions defense can be very, very aggressive and try and punch that ball out from Mixon, who we know. You talk about the vision. You talk about a guy who's going to try and make that second effort. Those are the players that you have an opportunity to try and punch the ball out and take it the other way for the Lions.
Hey, Joe Mixon's trying to pick up another yard or two. That's when you're vulnerable, and I love to see that. And before we make our predictions, which I know I am very anxious to do, and you guys are as well, Ben Johnson is in the chat.
Shout out Ben Johnson.
Again, I love to see it. Even if they had Ben Johnson talking a little smack in our chat. Thank you for joining the show.
Shout out. Even if and shout out Real K77 for the $4.99 super chat. I see you.
Absolutely. Even if they had Will Anderson, I'm still dog walking them.
Put him on a leash.
Hey,
put him on a leash.
Why not have Ben Johnson be that confident?
I'm fired up, Ben Johnson. Talk your talk, man.
And he also said he doesn't wash his hands after he uses the bathroom,
so
that he can use what he does well as an offensive coordinator, but also shy teams away. You do not want to hire this team as a head coach. We're kind of bound to this man, despite his flaws. We have to have him, but you don't want him on your organization. No way.
I looked into the legal process of changing your name. It's not that difficult.
Oh,
yeah. So if you want to go through that process, help. Become Ben Johnson and maybe get yourself a head coaching job. Reach out to us on socials.
I'm Ben Johnson.
You got Real K Collins super chat.
Hey, he just sent in $4.99 just to bless the crew.
Shout out.
That's it. That was it. I was like, hey, let me just shout it out. Like, thank you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I see a lot of you in the chat, man. Our OGs, the Mitten Maid, Mike G.
Shout out Mike G. Me and him just been going back and forth.
Shout out to Mike G. Brian Ruth, man. There are so many. Terrell, Lamar. I saw Terrell FL. Chuckle Cheese and everybody. A Diz 411, Dante 151, Greg. So I'm trying to name everybody. I could be here forever, but we got to get into these final score predictions.
I cannot wait.
As well. So let's pay some bills. Let's get into that, and we got some of you guys' favorite segments on the way.
Absolutely. Tell us about Caesars, JB.
Oh, Caesars Sportsbook. Make some money this weekend.
Make some money.
The official sportsbook of us here at Woodward Sports. Scan that QR code on the screen. Use code Woodward1000. Deposit up to $1,000, and all you have to do is place a minimum of a $20 bet, and if it doesn't hit, they will throw it right back into your account with no questions asked. I'm serious about this. Scan the QR code on screen. Use code Woodward1000. It's Caesars Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of us here at Woodward Sports. You know what? Make some money this weekend.
Run up the lights.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Official tequila of Woodward Sports Lions watch parties and post-game show. Join 1800 Tequila and Woodward Sports every Lions game live at Hayes Social in Shelby Township and celebrate the wins with smooth 1800 Tequila, proud sponsor of your Detroit Lions. 1800 Tequila, the best taste in tequila. Drink responsibly.
Hey, and attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday on Big D Energy, every Thursday on Ermanni and Edwards, where he's offering you top-notch injury advice. You got to trust the guy, that 4-time Stanley Cup champion winner, one of Flannel's favorite Red Wing players of all time, right? Thinks he should be in the Hall of Fame. Darren McCarty. You got to trust the guy that Darren McCarty trusts, and that is Dr. Jeff Pierce, who is here to keep you in the game of performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944. I only speak the truth. Welcome back as Michael Woodward. It's your boy, Brandon Dan, Detroit Kool-Aid, your credentialed Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Flannel Sam, the veteran squad in the network, Red Wings correspondent, and just all things sports and nowhere. Man, we had a great time yesterday at the Motor City Cruise Media Day. There were Pistons PR, head of Motor City Cruise, their PR coordinator, Brody Hickle as well, Mike Coran, Corey Moore, Ben Bagley, and others, as well as some of the different outlets that were there. It was a good time. But you know what? Shout out as well again to our chat family. I'm sorry, Ray. I'm sorry. He said, okay, Kool-Aid, I guess I ain't here this morning. I'm going to have to pull up on y'all Sunday. And listen, definitely pull up Sunday. We want to be able to watch these Lions games with the family, definitely. But shout out to everybody, man. If you guys want that shout out, just put it in the chat when we and we'll definitely make sure that we shout you guys out. Let's get into these final score predictions.
All right, I'll go first this time.
Let's get some music going.
For sure.
Appreciate it, Chase. Because usually I'm one.
Chase.
Is that how you say that?
No. I've been one to, over the last couple of weeks, certainly against the Vikings and the oh my goodness, I'm blanking who we last beat. The Packers. Oh my goodness. I was
they
one.
are afterthought.
Yeah, they are. Thank you for saving me with that one. Nice lifeline. I was one to predict a close game, and it actually came to fruition versus the at Minnesota. But this week, I'm throwing my hands up in the air and picking, and I'm going to copy from Greg Allspaw. Lions 31, Texans 17. Ooh, I don't think Nico Collins or Will Anderson are playing, and I think they are effed without those guys. I think it's going to be one where basically wire to wire, there's almost no concern. And I think the D-line is going to have their best day since Aiden Hutchinson went down, especially if Zadarius Smith is there. Give me a comfortable 31-17 Lions win.
Hey, you know, I have 34-24.
Okay.
34-24. And it's honestly the Texans with a late score, and it really just doesn't matter. So for the large portion of that game, it's going to be the Detroit Lions icing things away with the running backs just having a field day. And Jared Goff, when he has to, just being that surgical quarterback that he's been, managing the situation. Not the game manager by the terms that is generally what I believe not becoming of who Jared Goff is, but the guy who goes in each and every situation and largely knows exactly what to do with it to the tune of perfect or dag near perfect halves. Still, more touchdowns than completions over the last 4, 5, 6 games. I expect that to be ultimately what continues this trend, and it's going to look like one of those games where we realize the Detroit Lions could have put up 50, but they were being nice.
Ooh, wow, okay. I like that.
Let's go Chase GPT. Well, I mean, Cavassier Chase as well.
Hey, whatever. You guys, like I said, nicknames are not, they're
Double
given,
C.
so you guys got to choose. But I think we've been a little bit too respectful of our opponents the last few weeks. Our defense has really stepped up. So I'm going to say 31-13.
Ooh. Yeah, all right.
I think we're going to hold them down. I think we're probably going to end up, coming out early, putting it on them heavy in the first half. And then, if we end up receiving the ball to start the second half, we'll probably just put a little bit more insurance on them. A little more weight on their chests, like Giles Corey. You've read The Crucible back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And,
more weight.
More weight. Yeah. And, it's just going to be too much for those Texans to hold, man.
Hey, you know what, man? This Detroit Lions defense has, held a team to, 9 points this year?
Yeah.
They've held a teams to under 20 several times, right?
Last 2 weeks, 14 each.
You know what? Chase, that is not far off at all. They've put the work out there. Like I said, these Detroit Lions are the true Detroit Kool-Aid because we can say outlandish stuff and then they're like, we look at the proof and it's like, well, because they're doing it. It's Looney Tunes.
I'm looking at the blueprint for the last few games. That's how I'm making my prediction.
So. When you first said it, I'm like, okay, that's Chase. And then I'm like, wait, no, that's the Lions.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. God, it's the Lions.
Man, this is insane. Yeah. JB Smooth, Woodward Sports MVP.
Hey, I can't disagree with you guys at all either. My final score prediction, Lions 35, Houston 17. the Texans do not crack 20 on us. I'm sorry, but the Lions are just red hot right now. They're the more balanced team. You add in Zadarius Smith, I think he will keep Joe Mixon in check. There will be a little bit of bend, but don't break. Mixon will get his a little bit. But what if I told you that Brian Branch was so angry about being ejected in last week's game that he goes out there and punches the ball out of Joe Mixon's hands?
Ooh, he's the one.
Just saying.
It would be a day if Brian Branch was the one to get a sack, force a fumble, and get an interception.
Ooh,
But who would be surprised if it happened?
No, you wouldn't be. No. And speaking of scenarios that are sexy to say the least, this is Mitten Made. Zadarius debuts with 2 sacks and a forced fumble.
Ooh. Yeah, listen, we got a new defensive end, a new edge rusher joining the team. So I have to ask you, in the spirit of the Bruce Irvin, in the spirit of Uncle Bruce Irvin, is Zadarius Smith going to get a quarterback knockout?
If anybody does, it's Aleem. It's not Zadarius Smith. But
you're not wishing injury on anybody.
No. I'm not wishing. Both things can be true. I was never wishing injury against Derek Carr, but I also can acknowledge that Bruce Irvin knocking Derek Carr out of the game directly helped the Lions win, because Jameis Winston as the backup last year was a abomination to the quarterback position. At least in the Saints game against the Lions last year.
Uncle Bruce, man, he helped the Lions win, and he got a whole organization fired, bro. Dante 151, $9.99 super chat. He gives us his final score prediction and how it's going to play out. I just looked at the defensive line for the Texans at left defensive end, and all 3 of their players who play that position is injured. Advantage, Lions, 42-17. Lions with the blowout win. And you know what that sounds like to me? A lot of what KG was saying last week. He was like, have y'all checked out the Packers' injuries?
Green Bay sucks.
You see how it played out.
Yeah.
So it could be more the same.
And trust me, there have been numerous times this year where if I've been hearing 42-17 and 31-13, I would have rolled my eyes a little bit, but I'm not doing that anymore. I myself picked a 14-point win. I'm resigned to the fact that they're just an unbreakable machine right now. And even a team like Houston going on the road, it's not going to be a problem, especially since Houston's got some catastrophic injuries that they will not be able to overcome.
I just want the Lions to be that team. Remember, bro, like we used to talk about this stuff. Like, can the Lions be that team that just goes out there and puts the foot on the gas and it just vroom straight through? And there were times last year where they struggled, in the third quarter struggles, and then they're having to win games at the end of it. And this season, though, they just look like a juggernaut. Like if they win and it's a close game, it's because you realize they either spotted a team 10 points and then they went on a run, or it's because something fluky happened. That's it. Other than that, the Detroit Lions have gone out there and just absolutely put belt to backside. That is it to every single team that they've played, except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and whatever. We beat them twice and once in the playoffs last year.
About to say, you can't go 17-0, but the Lions can come really, really close to that. But do you know who is 17-0 when it comes to a new home? Mark White, of course. Do you remember new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true. And then, of course, you got to celebrate with a nice meal at Soroki's. Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza has a new limited time offer. Just in time for this football season, Soroki's is debuting their fresh signature flavored wings. Grab your friends, order New York style pizza, and add fresh wings for the games this weekend. Try one of their 7 flavors, and you could also get anything else on their menu. And visit their website at sorokis.com.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer, is kicking off the game with the best prices on all cars, trucks, and SUVs, like this 2024 Silverado for just $296 a month, or this 2025 Equinox for as low as $371 a month. Our locations in Novi, Highland, New Hudson, Livonia, and Lansing means we have the perfect Chevy right in your backyard. Get the home team advantage every day at Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
It's the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame watch party. Every Lions home game live from Second Best Bar, Detroit. Enjoy the pregame hype with a live broadcast every week with Woodward Sports personalities like Neil Rule, Sean Belegian, and the Heavyweights. Brought to you in part by Sabbath Coffee and Les Stanford Automotive. Great drinks like Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, Tangerine Space Machine, Taller Long Drink, great environment, and even better food. It's the New Holland Brewing Company Lions pregame watch party live from Second Best Bar, Detroit. Brought to you in part by Sabbath Coffee Roasters and Les Stanford Automotive. Come get some.
Hey, I got to tell you guys about the New Holland Brewing Company watch party with the Heavyweights and the post-game show hosted by Stick and Anson. Hey, we get things kicked off about 10, 15, 20 minutes before every Detroit Lions game, every single one, live at Hayes Social in Shelby Township. And you guys got to be there. If you've seen it at all, the atmosphere is electric. Last year we had it in the studio, but this year we're out at Hayes because we want to be able to enjoy these games with you all. And there is a whole lot of Lions fans that show up. We singing that fight song after each and every score. We've been singing the fight song a lot after each and every victory, and it's just a good time. And if you can't be there, make sure that you're tapped in to Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports, because it is still electric. It's a perfect companion to have for each and every Lions game. Come eat, drink, and cheer on the brand new Lions only at Hayes Social. And right after, we give you the instant analysis with the post-game show. With Stick and Anson. And I'm telling you guys, we want you a part of the show. So call in, or if you're there, we give you the mic and put you on the camera, and we get what your take is on the game. Or if you just want to talk, talk. Some of our callers get clipped. Freddie Felt gets clipped. A couple of the other callers have been clipped. They get on socials, and they go absolutely viral, and it's cool to be able to make sure we have this platform for you all, man. I'm telling you all this is brought to you by Tangerine Space Machine, talk to your local long drink, 1800 Tequila, Sabbath Coffee. And if you're there, we'll make sure you guys get some Sorokis as well. Hey, and we are back. It is Wake Up Woodward. I see you in the booth, Chase. You just on one this morning, huh?
Oh, I'm having a great day. I'm always just over here, like, just vibing out. Whatever you guys doing, like, you guys doing the Planet Fitness reads, I'm doing fake curls over here. I'm getting into it right now. I just get in the zone, man. I have such a fun time being here with you guys, interacting with everybody in the chat, you know. So I'm just, that's why I always got the smile on my face and everything. So. This
is why we do it. I love my sports, but why we do this in particular is because of this relationship with the chat family. And let's give them a little bit of something. Let's spark a word to Dispo, man. It's time to get that session going.
Let's go.
And now it's time for the most electrifying segment on the internet. Bum, bum, bum. It's What's Trending with JB. Live on Wake Up Woodward.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for JB Smooth.
That's right. What's up? Shout out Chase GPT over there, or Cavassier Chase, I should say.
Both of them now.
Both of them, honestly, right now. What's going on, everybody? What's up, chat family? You know it's a Friday, so you know all the videos that I got for you are going to be a little bit wild. And you know what? Black Friday is coming up pretty soon. But I don't know if this 55-inch TV is making it home. Just saying.
Oh!
Whoa! What?
How is he strapping that to the top of his car?
What?
Whoa!
Oh man!
Must be playing that Lil Jon. Just stop.
That's insane.
And wiggle with it. That's what that TV's doing, bro. Just wiggle with it.
Oh! Bro, that is insane.
I don't even know how you strap that down.
Like, who's in the car that you couldn't have just fit that in the back seat,
I was gonna
bro?
say.
That's insane.
Go back with an unloaded car or something. You paid for that, and it's going to break.
Gosh, bro, that's crazy.
Hope you have the warranty.
Bro, that could fit in the front seat. I don't understand what's going on here.
You've got an SUV, man. You don't have like a Subaru or like a, what's the right word for it?
Sedan, like a coupe?
Yeah, like something like that. I was about to say, I used to have a Subaru, so I'd be telling on myself. So.
A very safe vehicle.
A Prius. That's what I was thinking of, a Prius.
Subarus are very safe.
They are, yes.
I used to have a Subaru as well.
There we go.
A very safe car. It's a very, very safe car. Like I said, I don't think that TV is making it home. But then again, that just might be me. And you know what? The weekend is here. So just keep in mind, that, you know, your drunk friends, they're going to do some dumb things, just make sure you tell them no. Or if you do see them doing dumb things, just record it and make sure you send it to me.
Oh, no.
Oh! Why?
I don't know, but I'm glad. Though.
Yeah, well, that's what they get for doing that, you know. It's just it's like Darwinism at this point.
Facts. I'm cool with that, Sam.
All I can do is just laugh, dog. And then the friend that's just like recording them, running with them. It's just like you can tell that she's a smart one. Like,
oh yeah,
these dumb kids.
These damn kids.
It's like that scene in Toy Story 2 where they're trying to cross the road under the cones. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Like, oh my gosh, bro. What in the world?
What in the world does this world come to? Like I said, if your friends do dumb stuff, just make sure you send it to me.
I wish we had the post-game press conference of that.
What were you thinking?
Aftermath is. Goodness gracious.
What were you thinking?
Stephen Davis said, "What up, Conehead?"
Hey.
We are the Coneheads.
That's factual. Shout out Roast as well too. Some more dumb things to look out for. This is once again why I stopped doing a lot of extreme sports.
Oh no. Oh, I didn't see that happening. Oh my god, bro.
The pain.
See.
On this episode of Scarred.
Oh yeah, I remember that show.
Oh yeah.
Oof. Comes with the territory.
Oh my gosh. Chase, I know you're a skateboarder. Do you get into any of this type of extreme stuff?
No, I'm not that good of a skateboarder. I can ride the board, but I can't really do any tricks or anything like that. My buddies are a lot better than me. But yeah, that's like I said, man, it just comes with the territory,
I'm looking for
man.
the cut because the way his body folds up, it looks like a stunt double, like one of those little just rag dolls that they use.
I didn't even see the fold, the fold up.
It looked like, you know how Chappelle used to do it? How he used to just, you remember when Charlie Murphy got kicked and they just used like a little doll?
Charlie Murphy.
That's what his body looks like on this one, man. Like, oh my gosh.
God, that reminds me almost of the Johnny Knox injury. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to think positive.
Wasted.
I'm hoping it hit his like more of like chest and collarbone and not his chin. Like if you look where the impact is on that, lip right
I mean,
there.
regardless, something is hurting.
Yeah, for sure. But like a broken like collarbone versus a broken jaw, like you're talking about being able to like eat food for like months.
Yeah.
Like I said, that one is rough. And finally, I will end what's trending with this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but you ever seen a firework go off in your crotch? No? Didn't think so. Well, you have now.
Wait, what? Oh my gosh. Wait, what? Did he just take a dive?
Oh my god.
Why? What? Like, why? Why? What's the word you used? What was the phrase you used out here? Darwinism?
Yeah, Darwinism.
Yeah,
why?
Right. Just survival of the fittest.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
They are not the fittest.
Why?
It's like
Chase, don't be
natural
doing
selection.
There was none of this foolishness last Saturday at the DCFC game.
Good.
What in the world, dog? Oh my gosh.
Chase, don't be doing this in any of your costumes, man. Just saying. Just saying.
No.
Just saying, but my God, that is it for what's trending, you guys. Let's hop into some mailbag questions, see what we got going on in the chat.
Hey, but first I gotta tell you about Feldman. Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit FeldmanAuto.com to find the location nearest you. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
Hey, you know what? Let's get into this mailbag segment. Wake Up Woodward mailbag segment presented by Feldman Automotive Group. And I know, Flannel, you got some of those final score predictions from some of our people while we get the mailbag questions teed up.
Well, if you want to put them back in the chat, the Wi-Fi went out for like a second, and now I can't go back far enough. So
Oh no.
Get your final score predictions into the chat, people. I know there was a lot of good ones in there. Everybody is similarly predicting some blowouts as well.
I see a couple of them in here. I got to say it a little
shout
bit.
some out if you.
So,
if you
Mike Reed, wild score prediction, but I mean, to each his own. 73-17 Lions win.
Wow.
Eric Allen, shout out to you once again, man. 34-18. Fairbairn will be the only Texans to score on Sunday night.
6 field goals?
Wow.
Okay.
John F. and Lord, he gives a score and how we're going to get there. 52-6 with 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. He's calling for a safety and a blocked field goal.
Wow.
Shout out John F. and Lord.
Shout out John F. and Lord. And JB, I'm going to read a couple of the mailbags, and we'll go back to those final score predictions. If you see some, or Flannel, if you guys see some that need to be shouted out, let me know. Ed O'Neill with a good one here. This is a player we did not talk about. He was on one of our back walls this morning. Hashtag Feldman Mailbag from Ed O'Neill. The Texans have given up the most 20-plus yard touchdowns. Does J-Mo add to that? That's a good insight right there.
Yes.
Good info right
yes,
there.
he does.
I think the J-Mo Derek Stingley matchup, when they're if they're paired up together, as far as like the matchup on wide receiver cornerback, will be very interesting to watch, because Derek Stingley, was a 3rd overall draft pick, so he's a very talented corner.
And this is one of your godsons. I know that. You got to speak on your godson J-Mo, their MVP.
I mean, if I could speak on that just a little bit more, you get J-Mo back here once again, and a little tidbit, a little betting as well too. Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns. The Texans defense allowed the most passing touchdowns per game, and Jared Goff has already had 5 in the past 6 games. Smash this on any sports book that you own, or Caesar, especially for us as well too. Smash that Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Sheesh. Hey, listen, man, he's getting you guys some money right there. You guys already know who Jared Goff is. Ed, could tell us, no U of M talk? I saw Mike G asking for it too. I'm gonna make sure I shout them out.
Who are they playing? Indiana this weekend?
Yeah, Indiana in Memorial Stadium.
I love Michigan, but what are we talking about?
For the record, for the record, Zadarius Smith getting traded actually interrupt our Michigan talk, and then we just never got around to it. The only question, if you want me to ask a quick question, who sucks more, Michigan or Michigan State? That's the only question really to ask. I think it's State, but who gives a damn? They both suck. They're both
we're both in the same pond. Let's be real.
I did see a question earlier. I'm sorry that I can't go back to it. I'm gonna wait. If you can, there was someone who said something about Michigan basketball. Please get that back into the chat, and we'll talk about it, because they deserve a little bit of attention. James, mailbag, if the Lions win the coin toss, should we take the ball first or defer?
Defer.
Wow,
100%. 100%.
Get that defense on the field and just rely on them the way you have all season.
Getting the ball first out of halftime is a huge advantage.
Yes, definitely.
Huge advantage.
Yep.
You get to kind of either push that gas pedal all the way to the floor, or if there's things that you have to make up for, you got that in your back pocket.
They did
100%.
it against Green Bay. That's why when Kirby Joseph got that pick 6, for all intents and purposes, it was over.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Randall Smalls. So when we win a close game, but our defensive line has 3+ sacks, can we win out?
They can.
Yeah.
100% they can.
Let me see here. IT Hips. Feldman Mailbag. Does Goff and St. Brown continue their completion streak? What are they on? 30 straight completions?
Is it 30?
I'm going to go no, but that's okay. They'll have one incomplete. Goff will have one incompletion to Amon-Ra when he targets him. Just one.
Man, that's a good question.
That is a really good question.
Because it's not like we're talking about something fictitious. Like I said, the Detroit Lions give us the opportunity to talk about Looney Tunes type stats. This is incredible right now. So it's like you don't want to see it not happen, but the odds say that it will. But they've already defied the odds. I'm gonna say, hey, we see them continue it on. Just from my one homer pick. What up, though, Chase?
Yeah, sorry. Can you repeat the question one more time? I'm sorry.
Oh, it was does Goff and St. Brown continue their completion streak?
Oh. Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, hopefully it doesn't end this season.
It's 30 so far.
Yeah, hopefully it continues after this game. We're still talking about it leading into what would be week 11, I think, is next week. So, I mean, no reason why I don't think it's possible. Goff has been completing, over 74.1% on the season. So, if he keeps it up, there's no reason why these guys can't be like continuing to break more records. Maybe they put both of their jerseys in the Hall of Fame after they break the streak together.
Alan W. Hashtag Feldman Mailbag. Jeff Okuda was activated this week for the Lions game.
Oh, was he?
Oh, Lord.
How many pick sixes will he have for his revenge game? Over, under 5.5?
Under 0.
Jeff Okuda, our old friend there, man. That's
Won't even make it off the bench.
Hey, do you guys see any other
Should've took
interesting
Derek Brown.
final score predictions here we can get into?
Oh yeah, there are quite a few of them going on over here. Ryan's reaction: Lions plus 14. He doesn't even care about the normal spread. He just said Lions plus
Just a
14.
blowout.
Hoof Hearted 24-23 Lions.
Ooh.
IT Hips 31-28 Lions.
Wait. Hoof said 24-23?
Yeah,
Please put a reason. in
No,
the chat.
he's been pretty steadfast that it's going to be a close game. Just one of those like any given Sunday sort of things.
Very fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's
Very
fair.
fair.
What else you got over there, JB?
Terrell Lamar shout out 31-14. I'm assuming Lions. He didn't really put a name who's winning that, but I'm assuming it's Lions as well too. JP 17 31-13. I'm assuming Lions as well too.
Man, and you know what? Let me see here. Is there anything else in the chat? Mailbag, Ryan's reaction, golf over under the 2.5 completions for the game.
Incompletions, over.
Yeah, for incompletions.
Yeah,
over.
Yeah.
But not by much. I can see this being a game, another game where it's like maybe 4 or 5 incompletions at most.
Yeah, that's
and some
fantastic.
stretches where he's going 6, 7, 8 completions in a row.
Oh, here's one for you guys right here from shout out Wheezy D313 Mailbag. The Pistons and Wings haven't won on the same
that's a
night
good
in
one.
years. Who blows this parlay tonight?
The Red Wings, they're playing at Toronto. Say what you want about Toronto, but they're a good regular season team. And honestly, I need the Pistons to win for my sanity. Because I heard some nonsense yesterday from the flagship. I'll just say that.
Oh, wow.
Nonsense. Nonsense.
Word. You know what? Let's come back and have some Victory Monday shows. Multiple Victory Mondays. Multiple victories to celebrate on Monday. So, is that a show, fellas?
Yeah, if you think so, man.
Yeah.
I think it's been a good Friday for sure,
It's been
man.
a good one, man. We got in a little bit of overtime. Shout out to Coty Davis from the Detroit News, their Detroit Pistons beat writer. He covered the Houston Rockets, and the Houston Texans in a credential capacity last year. It was funny talking to him at the Motor City Cruise Media Day yesterday when he was like, man, I was going back and forth between the arenas and on the same day sometimes. So now he's here. He's dedicating everything into his Pistons coverage and honestly enjoying Detroit. Shout out to you, Coty Davis, for jumping on. He did say he had a great time. He texted back and said, yo, I had a great time with you guys this morning. So shout out to you too, WUW Crew. Chat family, as always, you guys are the most important part of this thing. Let's run up the likes, man. Let's run it up. Can we get 15, 24, 35, 50 more likes before
15,
we end
20.
this stream?
Smash the like button if the Lions are going to beat the Texans.
Hey, yeah, hit the like button if you think the Lions are going to beat the Texans.
And if you don't like it, you obviously think the Texans are going to win. You don't want those allegations, do you?
That's gross, man. Don't be that fan, people. Don't be that fan. Shout out to our brother Matthew Broder, that dude Justin, and KG, Detroit's #1 draft pick. In the sound booth, we got the elite, man. A Chase GPT or pass the Cavassier Chase. What up, though?
Hey, what up, though? How's it going, everybody? Hope you guys continue having a great day. Stay tapped in all throughout Big D, 11-1, Ermanni and Edwards, 2-4, and heavyweights closing out the day. The remote, live from Hazel Park Dispo. So if you guys want to go check them out, go stop in, say what's up, and have yourself some fun. Get hooked up for some stuff for the weekend if you guys want to, man. Like I said, pleasure being here. Pleasure interacting with you guys in the chat. Shout out to my mom, my dad, my aunts, and my uncles who tap in and watch. For you guys watching, man, just have a good weekend. Say what's up to your loved ones, say what's up to an old friend, and come back Monday with a good smile on your face and for Victory Monday, man.
Hey, you know what? I see you guys in the chat. I'm just gonna read this real quick, man. Mike G, great show, boys. Steve Lehman, peace out, fellas. Lee Cromarty, great show. Hey, thank you guys for the love. This one means a lot, man. Randall Smalls, great show, guys. Be safe. See you Monday. I like hearing that one. Thank you, guys. Hey, I'm telling you guys, the love means a lot, and it goes a long way for us. WUW Sports MVP in the TD booth. TD booth, man. It's a Friday. What up, though, JB Smooth, our MVP?
We wilding out on a Friday, but once again, it's been an amazing week. Great show from all of you. Shout out to Chase. Chase GPT, Cavassier Chase for stepping in, man. Appreciate you 100% always. And shout out to you guys in the chat as well, too, for sticking with us throughout this whole week. Sunday, Hayes Social, pre-game show, watch party, post-game. Be there. Trust me, it is going to be a party.
It is going to be epic. And you know what? Shout out to Arturo. I see you in the chat. He says Sam Flannel likes stats. Did you know that Amik Robertson is currently the second highest rated PFF DB in run defense for 2024?
Hey.
So it just adds more. It's building to the narrative. We talked about him forcing fumbles. I believe Joe Mixon's going to put one on the turf. I really do.
I love that stat. You know I love that stat. And trust me, I already knew it's at a 90.8, I believe.
Hey, it's so appropriate because that right there is the vet of the squad, the vet of the network, Flannel Sam. Hey, and listen, Red Wings correspondent, all things sports knower. The more things change, the more Flannel stays the same.
And WeezyD313, I will extend an olive branch because he was the one who knew what I was talking about when I was talking about the flagship talking nonsense. And it wasn't just Valeni, it was his minion behind the glass. Go back and listen to what he said. I wanted to stab myself. Dead serious. Okay, not serious, but it was bad.
I feel you. I feel you.
Normally he's Flannel Sam, but I said it earlier before the show. He's Hoodie Sam today. We're about to win a gold medal with the hoodie on.
Hoodie?
Absolutely.
Hoodie! I like that one, man. And you know what? I see you, chat family. They did go and start to smash that like button. I appreciate y'all, man. It's your boy Brandon Dan, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your credential Pistons reporter, writer for the network. All things love of Detroit in this great state here of pure Michigan. And you guys, chat family, hope to see you guys there at Hayes Social this Sunday for the Detroit Lions game. We want to see all of you all there. Have a blessed rest of the day. Tap in with the rest of Woodward Sports. Big D Energy, Ermanni and Edwards, and the heavyweights. We love y'all, man. Have a good day.